There's a new book that's shining fresh light on one of Louisiana's most controversial political figures, Huey P. Long. Author Thomas Patterson dug into the life, the legacy, and the lasting influence of the Kingfish, exploring how his populist message still echoes in politics today. Karen LeBlanc has more.
It has been 90 years since the death of controversial and colorful former Governor Huey P. Long. He was assassinated September 8th, 1935 at the Louisiana State Capitol. Now, much has been written about the Kingfish, including this latest book, American Populist Huey Long of Louisiana by author Thomas Patterson. He joins us here in the studio to talk about the biography. Thank you.
Well, thanks for having me on the show. I appreciate it.
Quite the endeavor. What fascinated you to the extent that you spent 10 years writing this book?
P. Harry Williams wrote that great biography of Huey back in 1969, and I read it in the early 1970s. And he was a fascinating character as depicted by Williams, and I enjoyed his book very much. Then later books came out. William Ivy Hare said things that didn't quite gel with me. He said the Kingfish was unhappy and depressed. Then Alan Brinkley said he was a nostalgic, backwards-looking populist. That didn't quite resonate with me. And then Richard White said Huey voted against all progressive legislation that Roosevelt offered. And I just didn't think that was correct. So I wanted to get the answers to those kinds of questions and see for myself what the truth was. And I found out that, at least as to those issues, those authors were wrong.
The focus of the book is, quote, to the extent to which he shed a lovely light. A lovely light. I find that really intriguing because most people found him outlandish. Some called him crazy, definitely controversial.
Well, I think what I meant to say was the book was an examination of the extent to which he shed a lovely light. And so I think I've included his faults and foibles as well as his achievements and his excellent qualities. So I tried to be balanced. I think it's probably the most balanced analytical treatment of Huey Long to date, building on the work of these prior scholars.
Considering that there have been numerous biographies, a PBS documentary by Ken Burns on Huey Long, much has been written about him. Did you uncover anything new that we didn't already know?
I think there are a lot of small matters that I uncovered that are very new. I think there's something fresh in every chapter. As to major things that I think I uncovered that are new, I think his Share Our Wealth plan was not just the ravings of an opportunistic demagogue. I think it was more realistic than some of the other programs that were put forth at the time. I think rather than being nostalgic, he was forward-thinking. He agreed with the idea of expanding the money supply, which now is endorsed by the conservative Milton Friedman. And he advocated for expanded public works, and that was a theory that Roosevelt had not fully adopted at the time that Huey was pushing for more public works. He has ideas like minimum income, which is now advocated by a lot of economic titans and political figures, and so it's very interesting to see how some of these ideas were ahead of this time.
But a lot of people criticized Governor Long, saying he was, criticized or praised. He was a modern-day Robin Hood who stole from the rich and gave to the poor, or he was a dictator. And those seem to be familiar themes that resonate throughout all of the reading. Did you find that to be true in your research and as you wrote? And did your opinion change of Governor Long in this process?
My opinions of him developed, that's for sure. I thought it was very interesting to uncover certain characteristics of his personality that led to his success and sometimes to his failures. He disregarded reprimands, rebukes, ridicule. He refused to play it safe. Unlike the most politicians today and then, which like to fence straddle the issues, he took a position. And he got things done. So that means he proposed achievable solutions, advocated for them, got his mandate, and then accomplished them.
Here we are with our current administration. Does some of what's happening politically kind of resonate with what happened in Huey Long's era?
I believe so. If you look at populism, populism has sometimes been described as a left-wing movement and sometimes as a right-wing movement. And it really depends on what the enemy is that the populist, so-called populist leader is advocating. So Joe McCarthy was considered a populist. He said communists were the cause of our problems. George Wallace said integration was the cause of our problems, or pointy-headed intellectuals. Then you have Trump saying that our problems are caused today by immigrants, migrants, and things like that. Huey said the problems of his day were caused by Wall Street, the rich having too much money and everybody else not having enough money. So if you unpack that, in my opinion, you've got basically everyone advocating for the American dream in some form. We're saying that opportunity has been denied people, or people are not being able to fulfill the American dream because of such and such reason. And so I think Donald Trump and Huey were opposite sides of the same populist coin.
We're going to wrap up this interview with some final thoughts. And my question to you is, are there modern day lessons to be learned from former Governor Huey P. Long?
And it's very interesting. My book was reviewed by a writer in American Conservative. And he, of course, did not like Huey's redistributionist tax policies. But he said Huey had big ideas. And he even went to Huey's book that he wrote about his days in the White House and said that Huey's idea on health care was the type of big idea that we should have today. So here we have American Conservative advocating thinking big, which Huey did. There was a Chicago architect, Daniel Burnham, who said, "Make no little plans, they have no magic to stir men's blood." Huey said, "Let the people see what we propose, and we will find a way to do it."
All right, other Thomas Patterson, American populist Huey Long of Louisiana. 90 years later, there are still lessons to be learned and new information to be discovered in his book. Check it out, and thank you so much for joining us.
Well, thanks
here.
again for having me. I appreciated it.